All right, guys, we've got section 3.3, function notation. All right, today, just going and doing some more inequalities. I really want to make sure you guys still are solving some equations, some inequalities, all that stuff, because it's going to be important here again soon. So let's solve these. All right, so I need to move my variables, move my constants. Cancels, cancels. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, we don't need a graph here. I just want you to solve them. All right, combine like terms. 13g plus 5 is greater than or equal to negative 4 minus 4g. Move your variables. Move your constants. Cancels, cancels. I get 13 plus 4 is 17g. Is less than or equal to same sign, so we add. 4 plus 5 is 9. Divide by 17, divide by 17. G is greater than or equal to 9 over 17. So don't forget, fractions, totally okay here. Number 5, minus 4, minus 4. And now I've got negative r over negative 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, negative divided by negative is positive. To get rid of that dividing, I multiply by 5, multiply by 5. R is greater than or equal to 15. Okay. Let's check the other three. Move your variables. Move your constants. So I'm going to move it up here. 1 plus 7 is 8. That canceled. 4 plus 1 is 5. That canceled. Divide by 5, divide by 5. 8/5 is greater than n. Minus 2, minus 2. Negative m over 2 is greater than or equal to 5. Times by negative 2 to make the negative and the 2 cancel. But when we times by negative, we got to flip the sign. Distribute 2b 10. Subtract 10. Combine your constants. 9 is greater than or equal to 2b. Divide by 2. We'll put the answer over here. 9 over 2 is greater than or equal to b. Okay, so again, not important necessarily for our lesson today, but important to remember how to solve these. DC SADMAP. All right, let's jump into today's lesson. Now, I gave you a little notes about how this is f of x is how you pronounce it. It's basically the same thing as a y. It just lets us know, hey, this is a function. So what we need to do is first replace each of the x's with 2. Well, here's an x, so I'm going to replace it with 2. Here's an x, so I'm going to replace it with 2. And now we just solve. F of 2. Negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8, plus 7. Negative 8 plus 7 is, let's see, opposite signs, so we subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1. The negative was bigger. And there we go. There's our answer. But now, they also want us to do it when x is negative 2. So I've got f of negative 2. Again, I'm just replacing every x I see now with negative 2. This is negative 4 times negative 2 plus 7. So f of negative 2 is negative 4 times negative 2, or 4 times 2, which is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. There we go. That's all you're needing to do there. Take the x, plug it in every place that you see an x, and solve. How about here? Well, this time x is 4, so every place that I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 4. So let's see. F of 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Rewrite the minus 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. But there's a second part to this. It also wants me to check when x is negative 4. But again, all you're doing is you're just taking every x you see and replacing it with negative 4. Okay. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 plus 7. Opposite signs, so we subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1, but the negative was the bigger number. And that's all you're doing there. Whatever number it gives you, plug it in for x and simplify. So, you've got a few right here to try. It looks like about 2 of them. Let's go ahead, pause the video, and give it a try. Alright, we're back. So, I need to replace negative 4. And since there's a few steps here, I'm just going to probably solve it really quickly. It should be negative 4, sorry. That's negative 8 minus 5, negative 13. Oh, how about 0? So this is f of 0 equals 2 times 0 minus 5. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. Minus 5 is negative 5. And the last one, green. Why not? 3. So replace each x with 3. So that's 2 times 3, which is 6. Minus 5 is 1. And there we go. That's how we're going to solve these. So let's check. How'd you do? Did you get all 3? Did you get 1? Did you get 2? Hopefully you got all 3. Again, but this time it's g of x. That doesn't change anything. It's just a different letter. Replace each of the x's with negative 4. Now notice how even though it was negative 4, I still have to write this negative here. Because it's negative x. Negative of negative is positive. And we just get 4 minus 1, which is 3. Now let's check when x is 0. So I go g of 0 equals negative 0 minus 1. That's just 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Yes, you're right. And 3. So I go g of 3 equals negative 3 minus 1. Well, negative 3 minus 1, they're the same sign, so I add 3 plus 1 is 4. So I get negative 4. Okay. So that's that. Just a few more things to look at. Oof. Now here's where some students struggle. Because I think this is saying that x is negative 7. But it's not. It's saying h of x is negative 7. So I'm just going to change h of x to negative 7. And now I'm just solving for x. So I add 5, add 5. That gives me negative 2. Times both sides by 3 to get rid of the 3. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And then finally divide by 2. So I get negative 3 equals x. And that's all it wants. It just wants you to know, find the value of x. Well, x is negative 3. We just found that out. Alright, so again, do not fall for the trick that a lot of students do. This says g of x is negative 4. So we're going to replace g of x with negative 4. And now we're just going to solve for x. So add 2, add 2. So we get negative 2 equals 1 over 3x times by 3 to get them to cancel out. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Now this is 1x. but we really don't have to write the 1. So I'm done. X is -6. Okay. If you're struggling, rewatch, and let's move on. So the last type of problem we're going to look at is graphing. Now today we're going to graph using an X, Y chart. And I'm always just going to pick -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 from X's. You can pick whatever you want, but that gives you a pretty good idea of what the picture is going to look like. So I'm just going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 every time. And now I'm just plugging those in, because we know f of x can be rewritten as y. So I just plug in -2. Let's see, that's -4 plus 5, which is 1. So when I plugged in -2 for x, I got y as 1. How about if I plug in -1? Well, that's 2 times -1 plus 5. So that's -2 plus 5, which is 3. So when I plugged in -1 for x, I got 3. And you can probably see what the pattern is. It's just adding 2 every time. Let's just make sure, though. Let's try 0. So I've got 2 times 0 plus 5. That's 0 plus 5, which is 5. So it looks like the pattern is just add 2 every time. So this should be 7 and 9. And now what we're going to do, now that we have our X, Y chart, or table, as some people call it, let's plot these. So remember, in ordered pair, it goes X, comma, Y. So this is -2, 1. So I'm going to go where X is -2 and where Y is 1. Put a point. The next one is -1 on the X, 3 on the Y. Then we've got 0, 5, 1 on the X, 7 on the Y, 2 on the X, 9 on the Y. And there we go. There is our nice picture of our function. This is the graph of the function 2x plus 5. Okay. So make your table, plug it in, find your values. There should be a pattern here going on, and you should be able to figure it out and then plot it. So let's look at one more. Again, make your x, y table. I always choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. You can use whatever you want, but I would say just try to use those. So now I plug this in for x. And be careful, it's 3 minus -2. It's not just 3 minus 2, because this says -x. So it would be -2. That's 3 plus 2, which is 5. Next one to plug in is x equals -1. So again, be careful. That's 3 minus -1, which is just 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. And you should probably be able to see the pattern now, but let's just check one more time to make sure. Plug in 0 for x. So I've got 3 minus 0. Well, that's just 3. So the pattern is subtract 1. So you should have 2 and 1. Now let's plot those points. Again, this is your x, and this is your y. So I should have -2 on the x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the y. Then I should have -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0x, 3y, 1, 2, and 2, 1. And there is the graph or picture of my function. And as you can tell, I'm really good at drawing. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I have to talk about. Let's have you try a few on your own. So pause the video and try them on your own. All right, let's check to see how you did. So it says f of x is 21. So I'm going to replace f of x with 21. And I'm solving for x, so I subtract 9. And I've got 12 equals 6x. Divide by 6. And x is 2. Alright, on here, it tells us g of x is negative 1. So g of x becomes negative 1. I've got negative 1/2 x plus 3. And since we're solving for x, we're going to subtract 3. That gives me negative 4 equals negative 1/2 x. So I'm going to times by negative 2 to get rid of the negative and the 2. If we do it on one side, got to do it on the other. So that gives me 8 equals 1x. But again, you know, you don't need to write the 1. Last thing, our xy table. So again, I use negative 3, not negative 3, no I don't. I use negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Basically, we just plug those in. So 3 times negative 2, that's negative 8. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And you should see the pattern is we're adding 3 every time. So negative 3, 1, and 4. I'm not going to plot that, but if you did, you should get a straight line. XY again. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So I've got negative of negative 2, which is 2, plus 4 is 6. Negative of negative 1 is 1, plus 4 is 5. And you should see the pattern is subtract 3. No, subtract 1, not 3. Goodness. Alright, you got to zoom in a little bit on this one and see that it's negative 3/4 x minus 1. So this is kind of a tough one, but we'll look at it. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we've got the negative of 3/4 times negative 2. That's 6/4 plus 1 is 10/4. You might have also, turned that into a decimal. That's fine. It'd be 2.5. Then we've got the 3/4 minus 1. Actually, sorry. I did that one wrong. Please excuse me. I added 1 when I should have subtracted 1. So we've got 6/4 minus 4/4 is 2/4. Now when we do the negative 1, we get 3/4 minus 1, which is negative 1/4. When we do 0, we get negative 1. So you should see it's subtracting 3/4 each time. So 7/4 and negative 10/4. Again, you might have converted that to a decimal. That's fine. And then you should be able to graph that. I mean, you've been plotting points for a very long time, so hopefully you're pretty good at them. Other than that, I don't have much else to say. That should be everything you're needing. Be careful when it's an f of x, or if it gives you an x. Just look out for that. And otherwise, it's kind of just plugging in and solving and simplifying. So, you've got some homework to do. Please make sure you took all the notes. We'll be checking those every Friday. Other than that, see you when I get back. Have a good one.